Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, in 15 minutes. Luke Johnson covers the New Orleans Saints. He's here in 30 minutes. Have a practice update. Alvin Kamara has not been there the last couple of days. We'll see what his status may look like as we move forward into Saints and Bears coming up on Sunday. Let's talk some Vanderbilt, specifically on the offensive side of things. I have a take on Vanderbilt. Might be harsh. I believe it. I believe two things about this Vanderbilt football team offensively. I believe on paper they are an absolute fraud. I believe that on paper. I also believe on the football field they are good. Good football team. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you have to know what they look like on paper to get to that equation. And I'll tell you, currently they're ranked 7th in the country in scoring offense at 43.2 points per game. I believe that to be fraudulent. I believe that to be rolled up against Charleston Southern and Utah State. I believe that to be rolled up on a Virginia Tech team that fired its coach 8 minutes into the season. I believe it to be against a South Carolina team that played without Lenore Sellers for the majority of that game. And you go, well, he plays quarterback. We're talking about their offense. Did you see South Carolina? They can't do anything without Lenore Sellers. 43.2 points per game, fraudulent for Vanderbilt. They are first in the nation in yards per carry running the football. 6.5 yards per carry. I think that is fraudulent. They're 19th in the country in total offense. 5th in the nation in yards per play. 7.5 yards per play. I think that's fraudulent. A lot of the things that they've rolled up, I believe to be grossly exaggerated in the numbers because their schedule for a Southeastern Conference team halfway through October has been pathetic. Awful. Now, that said, and it sounds like, he thinks Vanderbilt's terrible. I do not. I think Vanderbilt's pretty good. I was very impressed with Vanderbilt going to Tuscaloosa and, for my money, playing toe-to-toe with the Tide. Like, you move the ball, you hit a big play for a touchdown, you got down in the red zone, now you turn it over twice in the red zone, but you were in that game, and now you look at the scoreboard, and Bama scores a touchdown with 17 seconds to go, and it looks like he got run off the field. They didn't get run off the field that day. And I think they're good on offense. I think Tim Beck has done a phenomenal job offensively. I think that Vanderbilt has such a clear identity that they are playing to, and their execution of that has been wonderful. And that's LSU's challenge in this game. I don't go into this going, this team leads the nation in yards per carry. Is this Eddie Lacy behind the 2012 Alabama offensive line? It is not. This team is 5th in the nation in yards per play. Is this Steve Spurrier's fun and gun in the 90s? It is not. All of those national rankings are trash because their schedule is trash. Their offensive identity, not trash, and it's really good. Let me tell you what it is. This is a team that does a good job in time of possession. They're 46th in the country. Now, that's not going to catch your eye, but they control the ball about 31 minutes per game. But in being a top 50 team in time of possession, in terms of plays run, they are 118th in the nation in plays run. Top 50 in the country, time of possession, bottom 20 in the country in plays run. What does that tell you? They're going slow. They want to run the ball. They hand the ball off a lot. And when they hand it off, they're trying to get 3 or 4 yards. Stop. 3 or 4 more yards. Now where are we? We're in 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2, we can handle. Guess what? Second in the nation in third down efficiency rate, 58%. Second in the nation. We run the ball. We get 3 yards. We get 4 yards. It's 3rd and 2. We convert that. We drive the ball down the field. We control the clock. We get in the red zone. What do? We run the ball. We get 4 yards. We get 6 yards. We get down there inside the 5. We run the ball. And the red zone touchdown percentage, 6th in the nation, 81%. This is what they want to do. They want to bleed the clock, run this option offense, pick up a few yards here, pick up a few yards there, bleed the clock, and grind you to a pace. And this is a winning formula for Vanderbilt because most Saturdays, they're going to go out there in the Southeastern Conference, and they're not going to have the NFL dudes that the other team has. They're not. So running fewer plays with our lack of NFL dudes and your NFL dudes, better for us. Because the more times you rep that, the greater chance you have to fall behind. And they're not going to do that. They're going to stay in front of the chains and run the ball. And when they do throw it, they're effective with it because it's very controlled. They're not looking to hit deep shots. It's controlled. That's why they're 18th in the country in completion percentage. They're right at just a tick under 70%. They don't hit big plays. They're 52nd in 20-yard passes, 46th in 10-yard runs, 36th in 20-plus yard plays. And you would say, well, that's not terrible. And it's not terrible at all. But what I tell you about the schedule, a lot of Utah State, a lot of Charleston Southern, a lot of Virginia Tech. And they're doing what they want to do. They're running the ball for a lot of yards per carry. They're controlling the clock. They're running few plays. They're great on third down. They're great in the red zone. They're not hitting big plays. They lead the country in yards per carry rushing, and they're 46th in the country in 10-plus yard runs. They don't run for 10 yards. They run for 4 yards, but they always run for 4 yards. And they did this to an extent against Alabama. We heard from Andrew Allegretta in the previous hour, their play-by-play voice, and he's like, they didn't do it enough. Got into too many 3rd and 9s. And if you get into 3rd and 9, Vanderbilt's leading receiver this year is Eli Stowers at tight end. Now, he's a great tight end. This is a matchup of probably the 2 best tight ends in the Southeastern Conference. And Stowers is very good at tight end, but he leads. They don't have a guy on the outside making plays. They don't have Jordan Matthews out there who took the SEC record in receptions and went on to a great NFL career. He's actually with Vanderbilt now coaching. But they don't have a great wide receiver. And you put Mansour Delane out there and P.J. Woodland out there and D.J. Pickett out there and A.J. Halsey covering. Like, Vanderbilt's going to struggle on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. That's not in the bag of tricks. But they want to get in the pistol and run some option concepts and throw some shovel passes and let Pavia run for 4 and then hand it off. And they just want to go slow. And for LSU, who did a great job against this team last year, Vanderbilt hit a big play first quarter for a touchdown, and then after that, didn't really move the ball in Blake Baker's defense at all. So LSU's seen this. They prepped for it. It's the same offensive coordinator and quarterback as last year. They saw it last year. They prepped for it. They did a good job. Vanderbilt's better on the offensive line than they were last year. LSU's better all over the field on defense than they were last year. So they've seen this, but you've got to be prepared to play at their pace. This is the exact opposite of Ole Miss. Ole Miss wants to hit big plays. They want to go fast. They want to get you out of position. 70-yard touchdown. Go quick. No long drives. Vanderbilt wants they want 5-minute drives. They want 13, 15-play drives. This is what you're getting into with this Vanderbilt team. I was surprised that they haven't gone for a lot of 4th downs. Now, they've blown teams out, and that was the same case with Ole Miss, and we still know that they're aggressive. But it's a team that is defined very clearly, and you have to be prepared to do it. Now, Whit Weeks is a game-time decision. We know that. Jamari Butler's a game-time decision. We know that. Bernard Gooden very likely not going to play. We know that. So you're compromised in the front 7. Relaford's out. You've got younger players. They're going to have to play some significant snaps in this game. But if LSU can keep Vanderbilt behind the chains and turn those 4 or 5 yard runs on first down into stops at the line of scrimmage, get a couple of tackles for loss, you all of a sudden can really upset the apple cart. This Vanderbilt team is 8th in the country in sacks allowed. They are 5th in the country in tackles for loss allowed. They only allow 3 a game. That's what they're best at. That's LSU's job on Saturday. Get back there, force a negative play. Some offenses are equipped to recover from that. Ty Simpson at Alabama, he's okay in 3rd and 10. He's fine with that. He'll do that. Lane Kiffin's got some stuff ready for you on 3rd and 10. Josh Heupel's got some stuff ready for you on 3rd and 10. This team does not. They don't. They need 3rd and 3. They need 3rd and 4. They'll work you there. They'll test your edge, make sure you're in position. They'll run an option pitch on you, run a shovel pass underneath. They hit Bama with 2 on the same drive, 1 for a touchdown. It was gorgeous design. It's a good team. It's a good offense. It's not great. It's not elite. The statistics say they're great, they're elite. That's trash. But what they do on the field, they're good at, and that's what you've got to stop if you're LSU. That's my look at Vanderbilt's offense. You can check that segment out if you missed it at the end there at Hunt on LSU. You can find all our LSU content at Hunt on LSU, including our look at the injury report a little bit earlier on in this show. We got more LSU to talk about. We'll do that with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Some of the top beef in America just outside Baton Rouge at Sagrera Farms. Actually ran into somebody on Friday that told me they just picked up big old packet of Sagrera Farms beef, and it was the second trip up to Sagrera Farms. Satisfied customers. We like that, and we like the folks at Sagrera Farms. Go check them out for all of your beef needs. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, going to be with you on the airwaves this evening. Brian Kelly show from TJ Ribs tonight at 7 o'clock, and he'll be up in Nashville for LSU and Vanderbilt at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you?
No, I'm good, man. Ready for an early morning. I love the road games that are early. I really don't mind them, and obviously that's for selfish reasons because we get back sometimes before the sun goes down. But this is an early one. I mean, man, goodness. And, we'll see you early or talk to you early Saturday morning.
Hey, I'm okay with the 9 o'clock start. My kids don't let me sleep past 6:15, so I'm ready to rock, and that gives me an afternoon to do things that are great. I tell the listeners all the time who all of them hate the early kickoff, I'm not asking for 9 of them, but I will take one if you give it to me. And so if you're going to give it to me on Saturday, I'm in.
Yeah. And, again, as I said, I prefaced by saying only on the road. There's no reason whatsoever to have a game anytime before 6 o'clock at home.
I would agree. So let's talk about what we saw Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. LSU took care of South Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier used the term dominated the game on Tuesday, and you can back that up statistically. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd love to have more points, and I know if you simply just saw the final score, you would be like, okay, that doesn't look dominant. But, again, South Carolina, to me, it's one of those games, and I'll talk about this in just a little bit, where you get the win, never really felt like, especially in the second half, that the game was in doubt. And then, suddenly it's only a 10-point win, and you think, well, you're a play here or there or a mistake here or there from that thing getting really close. And unfortunately, that's kind of been the story if you look at the Power Four matchups. I mean, again, Clemson was a one-score game, but it never really felt like it was that close. Florida never felt like it was that close. And I kind of felt the same way coming out of the stadium with the win over South Carolina. Having said that, when you go back and look at what Carolina did offensively, it was just another masterful and dominant performance by the defense, who, again, have only given up, a handful of points in the second half, and for that matter, only a handful of points in the first quarter. So, again, I think the defense is right where we want them to be. I think they're improving slightly. They gave up the one big play, which you want to avoid. And then I think offensively, you made a good point on Monday that while you didn't, pull away from them and missed on some opportunities to really turn that game upside down, I think schematically it was there. I mean, you can't fumble the ball. You can't have that bad a read throwing towards the end zone. A couple of things go here and there. We're not really talking about the close score of that game. So that's the one thing I'm hanging my hat on, Hunt, is that, the other games, it was down to a play or two here, or a mistake here or there, and the outcome is completely different. I didn't feel that way against South Carolina. I felt like it should have been more, but I didn't think Carolina was in the game.
So we have our keys to victory segment of the pregame show, and I had mine ready for the corners to cover when Lenore Stellar started scrambling and could throw it down the field, and then Brandon Taylor took mine. So I had to pivot in segment, and I went with they should really throw the ball to Trey Green more. So I'm a genius. You're welcome for such an amazing take on the fly on the keys to the victory segment. How do you feel about that?
You may be only the 12 millionth person to kind of come up with that. No, congratulations.
Thank you.
No, I mean, Trey Green, we've said it going back to last year, his freshman campaign. I mean, just with his measurables, it's a very difficult mismatch. And, now that he's gotten comfortable, and the thing that I like the most about watching him on Saturday, especially going back and watching the film, is he's starting to get a little more physical, and I think he's going to be an asset in the run game. But it's clear there's no answer. I dare to say there's not many schools in the country that have a player on the defensive side of the ball that is going to be able to match up with Trey Green. And I also like the fact that they used him outside of the red zone. He had a chance to show us what he can do, making a couple of cuts and getting some yards after the catch beyond just the throw him up corner of the end zone and nobody can pull it down. So I liked what I saw, and I think you're going to get more of that. And frankly, I can't imagine there's a defensive coordinator remaining on the rest of the schedule for LSU that says, okay, we got the answer. We'll just wait and see. I don't know what that answer would be. He's just 6'7", 240, great vertical jump, good hands, good insight to what to do when the ball comes his way. That's a nightmare.
We had Andrew Allegretta on a little earlier today, and I know that you chatted with him on Hearing Voices. What do you get the sense is the vibe up there in Nashville, and what did you glean from that conversation that was noteworthy?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a total transformation for Clark Lee. I mean, I went back and looked. His first season there, they won 2 games. They went 0 in SEC play. I mean, 2-10. And it looked like pretty much the same. You fast forward to last year, obviously the big feather in the cap was the win over Alabama, and considerably better. But the jump they've taken this year, coming in 5-1, until that loss to Alabama down in Tuscaloosa, which they went toe-to-toe, had their opportunities. It was the best start Vandy had since who knows when. So they've got a vibe going there. Andrew told me, he said, look, it won't be like it was when you were here in 19, when it was basically an LSU home game for Joey B and the boys. And obviously the 2020 season, that was, virtually empty stadium due to COVID. So, I think it's going to be a little different. That's one thing about Nashville, man. When the Predators are winning, when the Titans are able to put together a good product, same thing for Vanderbilt. Not only are you getting Vandy alum fired up for the first time in their lives, and probably the first time in generations of their families' lives, but you're starting to get some of the celebrities. Everybody wants a piece when the bandwagon's going. So I think it'll be different. Obviously, the upgrades to the stadium, but I just think it'll be different from a standpoint of this is a fan base now that really feels like, right or wrong, we'll see, that they can go toe-to-toe with everybody in the SEC week after week after week. And so far, they've been able to do it.
Do you get the sense that at some point there is a bit of a breakout coming from the offense?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, again, I go back to what we kind of talked about. There were moments when Caden Durham was a shoestring tackle away from, again, making a big play in the run game. And I know that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. I understand that. But I look at tackles for loss, and I look at the number of times, take the sacks out of that, just the running plays where LSU's been stuffed with no or loss of yards on a play. There were a ton of them against Clemson. There was even more against Louisiana Tech. I mean, you can go through the list. And I like the fact that, again, not perfect, but there were plays where Caden Durham was getting to the second level and one missed tackle or he's able to stay upright. And suddenly we've seen what Caden can do when he's out in open space. So that's number one. I used to say Clyde Edwards-Helaire was so good and maybe underrated as a running back just simply because he never went backwards. Like you may not get, he might get a yard or a half yard, but he wasn't going backwards. And that started to bother me a little bit when watching this LSU team try to run the ball. It seems like every time they were lucky to get to the line of scrimmage, much less positive yards. So that, to me, was a good sign. The fact that we put the ball in the air 30 times, should have had some bigger plays out of it. Players will learn from that. They can fix that. And the fact that we stayed with the run game and attempted 30 attempts on the ground. That's what I'd like to see. And I think we've got playmakers that if they don't make mistakes, if they protect the football, make the right reads, I think this offense is due for a game where we go, yes, that's what we thought we were getting.
I think it'll happen eventually. I can't promise it's Saturday, but one of these days they'll find something offensively and they'll be tough to stop. I hope it is Saturday against Vanderbilt. Anything specific you're looking to find out from Coach Kelly tonight on the show?
Yeah, I really want to talk a little bit about, the injury bug. Again, it's not a huge list that was released from the SEC, but it's pretty important, when you see Weeks on there as questionable. And then I also want to see how they go after Diego Pavia. We've seen LSU this year, Hunt, play pretty well against dual-threat quarterbacks. Now, there's a whole range in that spectrum of dual-threat quarterbacks, and I don't put Lenore Sellers and Diego Pavia in the same bottle. And the reason I don't is because Sellers, as good an athlete as he is and as hard as he is to get down, he's not a good poker player when it comes to when he's going to run and when he's going to throw. And I think that helps the defense out a little bit. Pavia is another kind of different animal, if you will, in the sense that he's going to try to extend the play. He's going to move the pocket, but he's not as obvious as when he's finally going to bail out. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Jared Lorenzen, if you remember at Kentucky. There were plays that you thought, okay, just throw it away or just go down or whatever. And Lorenzen, would do a behind-the-back pass, and suddenly there's the tight end that's, scampering down the sideline. That, to me, is the biggest concern about Pavia, is that he can extend the play and has a little bit of a better bluff game as to whether he's going to try to extend it to run it or if he's just waiting for one guy to open. And I think his arm is a little bit better, at least from an accuracy standpoint, than Sellers. So I want to talk to Coach about how they set the edge to keep him in the pocket, but how they don't give up on coverage downfield, because just when you do, he'll pop you one for a big one.
You can hear it tonight, 7 o'clock, Brian Kelly Show from TJ Ribbs, also on the LSU Sports Radio Network. And LSU and Vanderbilt pregame on the network starts up at 9 o'clock. And then Chris, Jake, and Gordy will have the call from Vanderbilt's campus coming up just after 11. Thanks, Chris.
Talk to you Saturday morning. Thanks, Hunt.
Sounds good. He's the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Let me tell you about Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, just a personal story. John dropped off a sizable portion of the beef back in the summer, and we're just about out, and it's a big bummer because we have to get some more. But it's so good. Ribeye, best ribeye I have ever cooked at home by sizable portion. The burgers from the ground beef that he dropped off, my wife just absolutely loves. She's a big burger connoisseur, and she just said these are the best you've ever made at home. We made a sirloin roast in slow cooker last week that was just A+. It's just incredible quality. You can see it in the marbling immediately when you look at it, and then you cook it, you bite into it, you taste that tenderness, the flavor. It's prime. I tell you all the time what prime means on that IMF scale. 9 or better is prime. Sean's got cows on the farm right now that are 12, 13, 15, 17, 19 on the IMF scale. More than twice the threshold for prime. And they ultrasound, they're telling you that for a fact. If you want to get quarter cow, whole cow, half cow in that freezer for the fall months, Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef is happy to have you up to the farm. It's there in Ethel, 30 miles away. It's top 1% beef in America. And you can call Sean and get that in your freezer for the fall. Give him a call. 719-1723. Of course, it's in the 225. 719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll come back with Luke Johnson next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. And that's where you can start your car buying process. Just go to GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You can see the entire inventory there. Put in some specifications, what you're looking for, whether it's price range, type of vehicle, all the way from the sedan up to the SUV. And they've got it there. They've got their certified pre-owned vehicles on the lot as well. So you can start that buying process there, kind of see what you like. If you see something, but you don't know that you have the time to get to Airline and PQ, that's okay. They'll come to you for a remote test drive. If when you get behind the wheel of that vehicle with your brand ambassador and you feel like, yeah, this is something that I really want to get behind the wheel of for good, They can do that for you too, and they can deliver the car to you. E-contracts, the delivery. You never set foot on the lot. I know a lot of folks don't love to do that. We live in a delivery world, an e-commerce world. Genesis of Baton Rouge can help you out with that. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. Luxury brand at a reasonable price. Genesis of Baton Rouge, and they're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Let's talk a little New Orleans Saints. To do so, we bring on our guy Luke Johnson from NOLA.com and The Advocate, covers the black and gold. He's with us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Very well done. Didn't mention the Brewers at all in that intro. That was well done by you. Appreciate that very much, so we can talk about the Saints and things that really matter.
Death comes for us all, man. That's what I'm just realizing this week.
Yeah, the Dodgers are quite good. Probably wasn't going to be a lot of fun for the Cubs to play them either. All right, Saints and Bears. What's the bigger angle here? Dennis Allen, Rattler versus Caleb Williams, Oklahoma teammates. What's the angle at this point?
I mean, if you're a Saints fan, it's got to be going up against Dennis Allen, right? For as much good as that guy did here for a long time, that 2.5 year stint with him as a head coach has just like soured so many people on just like his entire time here. And I think this is one of those games where, the Saints could be whatever this year. If they go up to Chicago and hang 35 on Dennis Allen's defense, I think people here are going to be ecstatic. It's not like quite the level of I just want to do that and don't care what else happens this year, but it's pretty close. The Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler thing I think is really interesting. I asked Rattler about it a couple times yesterday, and he's doing the quarterback thing where he's not playing it up or anything like that. But I would bet if you were to inject him with some true serum, he'd give you some really interesting thoughts on it.
Do the players care about the Dennis Allen thing?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of them. I bet Kendra Miller does.
Yeah.
I was just going back through and reading some of Dennis's old comments about Kendra Miller, and he was blunt. I appreciated Dennis for that. He really said what was on his mind about Kendra, which was he was obviously very frustrated with the player who couldn't stay on the field. But if I'm Kendra Miller, I'm licking my chops looking at a Bears defense that's given up 160 rushing yards a game, as an opportunity to kind of stick it to the old coach who. Fair or not, it didn't really give him too much of a chance whenever he did stay healthy to show what he could do. So, I think just getting back to the original question, the whole Dennis Allen thing, I don't know if it's necessarily as big a deal in the locker room or even for players like Kendra Miller. It's probably we just need a win. But I think just from a football viewing standpoint, I think that to me is the most interesting angle of this game.
So you mentioned Kendra Miller. How big do we think his workload is, considering Alvin Kamara's shortened week of practice?
I would say, going into this, I'd be pretty confident. Maybe a 60-40 split. I mean, they're going to have to run the ball. Alvin is, Alvin took the majority of the workload last week, but. Especially when you consider he had 5 catches in there too. But I think they're going to have to run the ball to win this week, and I think Kendra Miller gives you a really good shot against this Bears defense, just with the style he runs with the physical style, knowing how Dennis Allen likes to play. I think that he's going to have to play a big role in this game, and I think they probably understand that there's going to be some motivation for him. Even if it's like I just said, even if it's not as much as people would think. There's definitely an I'll show you element to this for Kendra Miller. So, I don't think he's going to handle the lion's share of the workload. I think as long as Alvin's here, that's going to be his job. But I do expect him to get a lot of work.
Let's sidestep the Bears game and just stick to Kendra Miller for a second here and just kind of play hypothetical. Talking year 3 here, I mean, what do you feel like his future is in New Orleans? Do you think they're going to pick up that option? Do you think he's kind of the heir apparent after what you've seen early on in this year, or is that too ambitious to talk about at this point?
I think it's still way too ambitious. Like, he has shown some ability to do some really, really nice things. There has been a couple games this year where he is exactly who we always kind of thought he was, right? Somebody who could break tackles, who's just kind of an explosive play waiting to happen. He had a bunch of them against the Bills. He looked great against the Bills. But, like, we are still talking about a guy who I looked it up right before the show. He's like barely top 40 in the NFL in rushing. He's averaging 4 yards a carry. Like, he's shown some nice things, but if we're going to talk about him as like the future of like what the Saints running offense could be, like, I think he's still got to show a lot more. But look, he is finally staying healthy. And he does look good when he's given the opportunities. So, like, it's there for him, but he's got to stay on the field, and he's got to show he can do it consistently week in, week out.
You feel like Chris Olave's got to be a little bit better?
I mean, he has to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny that we're talking about this after he's coming off, just statistically, clearly his best week of the season, right? He had the 53-yard catch to open things up. There was a drive or two where he was just like, he was really like the straw that stirred the drink on the drive, right? Like 2-3 catches on the drive, getting them down into field goal range. But the only thing anybody wanted to talk about afterwards was the plays he didn't make. Right? I mean, a crucial 2nd and 7 late in the game. You got a chance to go win the thing, hits him right in the hands, and he drops it. There's a pass to the end zone that, like, you could make an argument if you were really like a Chris Olave supporter that was a difficult catch, which is true. Like, it was a difficult catch, but like, if he's going to make any claim whatsoever on being a number one wide receiver, if he's going to try to get paid like that, like, you have to make those plays. Like, you just have to. And he just has not done it consistently enough this year. Yeah. I think there's like arguments to be made about like how they're using him in this offense. It's really weird to see a guy like Chris Olave, who we all know to be an explosive player, averaging like 8 yards a catch. But like, when the plays are there to be made, you got to make them. And he's not making them right now. So, something's got to give there. I don't know if it's just like, hey man, like, we really like you. We really like what you do, but like, you're not going to be our number one guy. Like, you just aren't that. Is he going to be okay with that? I don't know. Like, do the Saints still want to go down this road, knowing they're going to have to pay him in another year or two? I mean, I think it's totally on the table for him to potentially be somebody a contender wants to trade for. I think the Saints would have to listen in that case, because it's just he's not right now to me like a guy who's going to carry your offense. Like, he has to be a complementary piece.
I would agree with that. He's Luke Johnson, @ByLukeJohnson on Twitter. Let's shift over to the defense. Caleb Williams, rough go last year for a lot of it in a dysfunctional situation. Got Ben Johnson in place, and looks like he's playing a little bit more confidently. How do you feel about this Bears offense when you look at him?
I really like. I think Ben Johnson's such a great play caller. He's really creative. Like if you're looking for somebody who's going to run like those kind of designer plays, right? Like the plays that are going to make like highlight reels because like, look at all this crazy stuff they're doing offensively. Like, he's going to do a lot of that, but like, he also just down to down, I think, is a really smart play caller. And you insert him into a system that includes Caleb Williams. They've got some really good pass catchers. They're getting a lot out of DeAndre Swift in the running game lately, especially. I mean, they're good. Right? They're kind of scary, and especially when you consider like what the Saints have been this year. They haven't faced like a lot of like top flight NFL quarterbacks. It's like outside of Josh Allen and Drake May the last 2 weeks. It's been Kyler Murray and it's been Mac Jones and but they're giving up like really, really bad passing yards or passing stats. I mean, the completion percentage is through the roof. The kind of soft zone that they're playing has not really been effective outside of like sometimes limiting the explosives. The pass rush isn't getting home. So there's a lot of stuff that I just don't like in this matchup. I think if Caleb's on, they're going to find ways to exploit this defense unless the Saints somehow figure out a way to ratchet up the pressure.
I'm thinking the crowd's going to be really, really good. That city has not had very much at all to be happy about in football in a very long time, and they've got 3 weeks of happiness on their side right now. I mean, I'm imagining that's going to be a tough place to play on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so. It's like the only show in town right now. So. Oh
wow, there it is. There's a shot.
I thought I was getting that in. So
nope,
man.
Did not.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do think it's going to be a good crowd. Like, they've been just dying to have a good football team there forever, and not just a good team, but like one that you can realistically like see as a contender. A lot of those teams of like that, even they've had Super Bowl teams. Yeah, they never did it with like a star quarterback or an offense that scared people. And you can win championships with defense. You have to have a good defense to get to that place. But like the thing that's going to get you there year after year is the quarterback and the offense. And you can see the signs of that starting to grow in Chicago. I think they're going to be psyched about it. And I think this is a really good spot for the Saints to catch them, honestly. They've won 3 straight. They've forced a bunch of turnovers. They've forced 11 turnovers in their last 3 games, which is crazy. 4, 4, and 3. They're riding high. They're on a short week, and they're against a team that is 1-5. I actually think this is a really good opportunity for the Saints to go in and steal a win, even if it's going to be a good crowd against an offense that's going to challenge them. And I think there's a good chance here. But they're going to have to do it in a hostile environment for sure. Maybe outside of Seattle, maybe the most hostile one they've played in this year.
It'll be a good one, that's for sure. Enjoy Chicago. Safe travels. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good, buddy. See ya.
Luke Johnson at by Luke Johnson on Twitter with the NOLA.com and the Advocate. Good enough to give us some time here on Thursdays. Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll close it up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Wrapping things up here on a Thursday. Fired up for Football Friday tomorrow here on our airwaves. Special Football Friday. You can catch Jake Hester and Matt Flynn. That would be the next guy on the morning show. Jake Hester, Matt Flynn from Rouse's 7 to 10. They'll be Burbank and Lee 7 to 10. Then 10 o'clock, it'll be the guys live at lunch from Rufino's. Jimmy and Charlie, Richard Dixon for the first hour there. A lot of gambling picks from 10 until 1. I'm here from 1 to 3. And then from 3 to 6 from Nashville. After further review, Matt on the road with the team up there at Vanderbilt. So that'll be a fun broadcast for him. So live and local from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then you got Cade coming on with Louisiana Prep Preview at 6 o'clock. Catholic High Football at 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. So all the way till about 9 o'clock p.m. we are live and local for a Football Friday. So lock us in for any and all of that you possibly can coming up tomorrow. All right, let's close it down with Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, getting close to the weekend. If you're looking for a cold, refreshing beer, how about Flight by Yingling? 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Comes in the slim cans, also in bottles as well. I've always got a couple on set here. You need to have a couple with you this weekend. You're going to watch the game from home, Tigers indoors. Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer.
Okay, let's start it off with everybody's favorite Thursday night football game. The Old Man Bowl is tonight with 40-year-old Joe Flacco versus 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. This will be somewhat historic, as this will just be the second QB pairing in the Super Bowl era to have 40-year-olds go against each other. Drew Brees and Tom Brady did it back in 2020. I was going to
get that right.
Yeah, back in 2020. So, Hunt, should this be a bigger deal that we have 2 40-year-old quarterbacks facing off tonight, something you rarely see?
I'll leave that. Okay. I don't care about Joe Flacco playing football for my beloved Bengals, who I'm such a diehard fan of. Haven't watched play since Joe Burrow got hurt.
Yeah,
So
it's a little sickening.
I'm not planning on watching it tonight. I hope they lose. I need a better draft pick. They've already lost enough to where they're not going to get into the playoffs with Joe if and when he comes back. So I'm fully on the Commanders this year. I'm off the Bengals, and it breaks my heart because, as I said when he got hurt, as I said when the injury report came out, like his prime is slipping away, and it's a big bummer. But I guess if we're taking the positives, if we got two guys that are 40 playing tonight, Joe's not even 30 quite yet. So he got time.
You got time. No, you can. In this day and age with all the sports medicine and all that, he's got time. So this one I really want to pick your brain about. According to ESPN's playoff predictor, they're giving Vanderbilt a 61% chance at beating LSU on Saturday. I feel like this is being overblown so much. Where are you? Take it or leave it.
I got to be honest with you, Jordan. I got to be honest.
No way.
I was reading a Twitter reply to me when you read that whole thing, and I don't even know what you said. So
Okay.
It was a uniform take from this guy who's blowing me up, and I got all flustered.
Okay, I thought.
Tell me again.
Okay,
I just didn't listen. I was reading Twitter reply.
According to ESPN's playoff predictor, they're giving Vanderbilt a 61% chance at beating LSU on Saturday.
Okay.
Is this being blown out of proportion? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it.
Leave it alone.
I think Vanderbilt's got a real chance to beat LSU.
61% though.
I mean that's 60-40. I mean you're close.
Vanderbilt.
It's not in Tiger Stadium, and LSU's been terrible on offense. This is like the Ole Miss week.
Yes.
I have not come up with a pick yet. I've done most of my research. I have not quite gotten to as much of Vanderbilt's defense as I will tonight and then tomorrow. And then I'll come up with my final pick. I'll tell you it's close. Like I think that a lot of times on Tuesday I kind of got to feel where I'm headed.
Yeah.
I don't today.
That means it's like you're seriously.
Well, LSU
this.
keeps scoring 20 points a game.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt's not terrible on defense. Yeah. And Vanderbilt went to Tuscaloosa and played with Alabama. The scoreboard got lopsided, but that was a touchdown with 17 seconds to go and 2 red zone turnovers.
Throughout the game.
It was.
Close, yeah.
So I'm torn right now.
I'm torn because I can't believe this.
So you're not torn. You think LSU's going to roll them?
I ain't going to say roll them, but I just been seeing so many Vanderbilt
Well, you're getting
fans.
2.5 points. You heard Jimmy and Charlie. Go place your bets.
Oh, no, look. Hey, you know how Jimmy's going to get. You know how Jimmy's going to get. But I just cannot believe. Like, I know it's not the Vanderbilt of old. But, Lord, gee, they just think LSU is just so bad because they think we're going to lose this game. Alabama, okay, that's whatever. But Oklahoma, I seen Oklahoma is like, I was like, Oklahoma?
When Oklahoma had a healthy quarterback, they were good. They did not have a healthy quarterback last week, and they got trucked by Texas. So we'll see. That game's too many variables in that one.
It's too
much.
much.
Hey, I'll tell you what. The LSU comes out, Nussmeier's healthy, slinging around a little bit, and the defense is banged up too. So we'll see how that goes. But as I mentioned in the first segment of this hour, Vanderbilt's got a real identity on offense. We'll just have to see. That it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Thursday. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Give Sean a call. I give you his number every single week, 719-1723. Get some of that delicious, flavorful, tender, perfectly marbled beef to put in that freezer. Top 1% in America, and it's right here just outside of Baton Rouge. Missing the show today? Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Started things up today with an LSU injury update, and a little Saints-Bears preview. We talked to Andrew Allegretta, the voice of Vanderbilt, talked to Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, as well as Luke Johnson covering the Saints, so find that wherever you find your sound. I'm out of here. We'll be back tomorrow for a Football Friday. Musso is going to drive you home on AFR. That's nice.
The Hunt Palmer Show.